such a pleasure, man. How's everything been going?
I've been on the road to rock.
Well, I was going to
No,
ask you to do it.
My whole life, I've
You
been on the
have,
road to
and
rock.
now I don't even have to ask you to do a spot later because you just provided one. Perfect.
Okay.
Chuck Wright's on the road to rock, guys. It's such a great time, and always been such a fan of your work and the things that you've done. You've just done and worked with so many great artists and done so many things. But
Well, I've been blessed in that. Yes.
you have in a way, but your talent speaks for itself. But your new solo album, your debut solo album, Sheltering Sky, Chuck Wright Sheltering Sky, is about to come out next week. Just kind of talk about this thing, the genesis of it. Why was kind of now the time to put this project together? We're going to get into some of the specifics, but man, this is at first glance and at first listen, this is just a tremendous effort. And I'm just so glad, just as a fan of your work, to see you being able to delve in and do a solo project. This is just awesome stuff.
Well, you asked about the germination. It all happened because of the pandemic. I mean, I had that time on my hands, and I was really feeling. And the first song is called "The Weight of Silence," and I was really feeling that weight of all the empty streets and the apocalyptic feel of everything. So I sat down and wrote this piece, and I put a video together. I edited it together myself. It's got drone footage of empty cities and things, and I put that out just on my own. And I was contacted by Tesla drummer Troy Laketta, who said, "Man, I love this. I'd like to play some drums on it." And I never thought. I go, "Yeah, let's try it." So the drums were great, and then a guitar player that I know that's a great jazz fusion player named Alan Hines put some guitar on it, and suddenly it became a new thing. And then I re-edited, put that out, and then I started just writing music during this period, that just music that I'd want to listen to, and with no agenda. You know, I didn't think I was putting together a solo album. It was just creating music, and then I would think of friends. I go, "Hey, check this out. What do you think? How about some lap steel on this? Or you want to do some lap steel, or whatever instrument it is, or vocal?" And they were always way into wanting to work on the music. So it kind of happened that way. And now I have 40 performers on it. I finished 5 songs, and I did a video for the song "Army of Me," which there's a story about the way that song came about. But with that in hand, I go, you know what? I think I got something here. And I went to a few labels, and then my friend Brian Pereira at Cleopatra dug it and said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's do something." And you know, there's no reins with that label. I can do what I want to, do musically, and they're totally supportive of it. It's great.
It is, and it seems like that you cover a lot of bases here. You talked about the song "Army of Me," which is a Bjork cover, right? I mean,
yeah, and
that's crazy.
I know people go, "Wait a minute, this guy's known for being in a band, heavy rock bands." Well, the way that happened was some years ago. I was recording with my late friend Pat Torpy from Mr. Big.
Oh yeah, huge fan.
And Lanny Cordola from House of Lords, who I've also done a bunch of other albums with. But we were recording, and we just started jamming on "Army of Me," and we go, "Wow, this is great." So we recorded it. It was put aside. I found some tracks looking for something. This was a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was. And I found that song, and I go, "Wow, I need to finish this. This is killer." So I ended up finishing it. I brought in a female singer named Whitney Ty, who I thought would be really great for that song. And we did a video together for it. And she was so fantastic to work with that we collaborated on writing a song together. And she sang one of my favorite songs on the album called "Giving Up the Ghost." So she's on 3 songs. And it all germinated from that want to do, the "Army of Me" song and finding the right voice for it.
Well, speaking of finding the right voice, you have Jeff Scott Soto as well, who's one of my favorite singers. I just love Jeff.
Well, yeah.
In every way. Like, I mean, he just, whether it be his work with his band, Wet. I don't know if you're familiar. I mean, that last Wet album is just tremendous. He does Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He's been in Journey. He's been with Axel Pell. I mean, he's done it all.
Well, here's the thing. I met him. This is how far back we go. He was playing with Yngwie when he was like, I think he was like 20. I don't know, but it was like 87, and they opened up for Quiet Riot when I was on tour with Quiet Riot, and we remained friends all this time. But the thing I know about Jeff that a lot of people don't know is he's a great R&B singer, soul singer, and this is a funk kind of tune. And so I asked him, I go, "Hey, what do you think?" And he loved the vocal ideas, and he nailed it in like, I sent it to him, and I swear that day, a few hours later, he sent it back, and I wouldn't change a thing. He's that good. He's so fantastic, you know.
I mean, you've done so much and worked with so many artists, and to see some of it come to fruition here. I mean, Derek Sherinian's on this from Dream Theater. You talked about
He's a friend. He did some
great.
nice string, he did some nice string work and stuff on that song "Weight of Silence" for me. He played on a House of Lords record too, where he got to really riff out and solo on a song that I wrote called "The Power and the Myth." It's a kind of a Rush Genesis progressive rock thing that he just shredded on. On this one, he's just helping me out and reinforcing the song a bit, which I think is phenomenal. His new album that's out is incredible. I just listened to it. You got to check that out. Vortex, the song.
Oh, absolutely.
It's very good.
Oh, I got to talk about the song Throwing Stones, because this is one of the more heavy hitting, in your face songs, sort of a sign of the times, really.
Well, that's
a little ahead of itself. Maybe it came out like, what
what happened was, let's do a backstory on that song.
Yeah.
Lyrically, it's an anti-war song.
You're right.
The message in the song is basically, how long will it take until we grow? We started throwing stones, which is the title, to like launching missiles. But Joe Retta wrote the lyric and the vocal melodies to the music, which he did before this Russian invasion. He did it at the end of last year, and it just, the timing was just sadly, sad. What do you say? Sad serendipity that it happened now, and so that's why the video is kind of like that on purpose, because of what's going on in the world right now. But the lyric was written well before all of this chaos in Europe right now.
I just had a chance, and I might be wrong here, I'm just going to throw this out. Usually I have everything down pat. I just had a chance to peruse the video. I'd heard the song, but the video is that not is Mitch Perry in that? Is that Mitch Perry?
Mitch Perry's playing.
I thought so.
Yeah, very good eyes.
Love him.
It shakes around a lot. I think the video came out fantastic. I'm really pleased with that. But yeah, Mitch is doing the guitar solo work on it, and Lanny Cordola's doing the rhythm guitar work on it. And the actual drum track is Pat Torpey again. And I had my friend Tasha Jones, who played with Saliva, sync to it, which she also did on the Army of Me video. She just comes across so great, and she was honored to do it, to pay tribute to Pat Torpey.
Well, I love that. And just a quick personal kind of thing about Pat is that I'm, have been doing this for 10 years. I've interviewed hundreds of artists and athletes and things like that. But there's something about when we lose one of them, and I'm shaken by the loss of my heroes as it is. I'm shaken, when a Tom Petty passes away, when a Prince died, and there was something about that. I just interviewed Pat on their last tour with Mr. Big. And he got to go out with the guys, and, Matt Starr, kind of helped out, but he was there, and he was such a backbone to those guys. Yeah. And it was just a few months later. And I remember, I remember where I was. I remember the feeling, and it just shook me, because he was just the sweetest person and an amazing drummer,
Consistently so.
Yes.
And a very dedicated drummer. He would go and practice 4 to 5 times a week, 3 hours a day. We actually had a band in 1983 together called Exposure, with a friend of mine that also passed. His name is John Purdell, who went on to produce Ozzy and Motley Crue, keyboard player.
Of course.
When you hear No More Tears, that's him. And when you hear Girls, 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 every time I hear that song, the Motley Crue song, those background vocals, that's John Purdell. And he was the keyboard player, lead singer in the band with Pat Torpey, and the guitar player, Gene Black, went on to play with Joe Cocker until Joe passed. And that was a great band. It was kind of like Saga meets, I don't know, Duran Duran. I don't know, something. I don't know. It was very
That's
modern,
awesome.
Very unique kind of band.
Well, you're tied into so many acts over the years. I mean, you talk about 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. There could be a 6 degrees of Chuck Wright, if you think about it. And it covers so much ground. That's a good thing. I mean, you have ties. Obviously, Quiet Riot. So I was actually, I think this might have been the first show after Frankie passed, and this was during COVID, but I live in Missouri. So, bring it on. So you were there October 2020. You guys were here in Urich, Missouri, which is like an hour and a half south of Kansas City, where I live, out in the middle of nowhere. You guys are there, and you play the show. What was it kind of like? Because Quiet Riot was one of the only bands taking dates during that, and it comes off the heels of losing Frankie. Was that hard for you personally? What was that time kind of like as you start playing shows after that, and then it's in COVID and problems, and was that rough?
Yeah, it definitely, yeah, all the things you said, definitely.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was really tough getting past Kevin not being out front.
Of course.
Once we started, I mean, Frankie started it back. After taking 3 years off, he called me up and he said, "Hey, do you want to do this again?" And I thought, well, we got to find the right singer, and that's all in the documentary. That's
of course, great film. Yes, now that
Yeah.
we're here, there's no way back. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that kind of tells the whole story of that.
Yeah.
And then losing Frankie and trying to fill those shoes. I think Johnny did a great job, and he plays a lot like Frankie, but it's just really different for
It's
me.
hard.
I mean, we had a almost a psychic connection the way Frankie and I play together. We've been playing together off and on for 26 years, not only with Quiet Riot, but Blackthorn, and we've done other things together over the years, So, and he also was somebody that was into progressive rock music like me, or jazz fusion like me. And we could always talk about that stuff where Kevin didn't want to know about it. He's just like Humble Pie and Rod Stewart, and that's about it.
Oh, well, it was, the truth of it is, though, for people like me that are used to going to 50 shows a year, and that's my life, traveling and covering concerts. I mean, it was just wonderful. And it was surreal at that time that a concert's happening and live music was. So it was a breath of fresh air for so many people, but so difficult, I imagine, for the band. And I mean, I love Jizzy Pearl. We had Alex on right before that show happened. So now that Rudy's back in the band, Rudy Sarzo returns to Quiet Riot, you step away. Do you feel like that the timing was perfect because now here you are able to kind of complete this project, or was there some, maybe you didn't want to do it? What kind of talk about that situation? And
well, I've kind of got my hands tied on certain things that I could talk about with regards to those guys.
Understandable.
But it is what it is, and luckily, timing wise, yeah, I'm doing my own thing, so it's fine. And I mean, this is like the 5th time in my career playing with Quiet Riot that's been in and out, in and out, in and out for various reasons. It's just one of those things. It is what it is,
One thing that I'm a huge fan of that you do, and I've been able to come out to Ultimate Jam Night. God, I think it was back in 2019. I was able to come out because I love the Whiskey a Go-Go, and I love the scene. I love the Sunset Strip. And it's like whenever you're there, you want to have something to go to. And sure enough, Ultimate Jam Night is going on. I know you guys just did a tribute show for Ukraine, which is amazing, but this started back in 2015. How did this idea kind of start? And I think it's just great because you get to see so many amazing artists, and you get to go in, you get to enjoy the Whiskey, which is one of the most famous rock venues in the world, and see some of you guys out there playing, classic songs. I mean, it is a great idea. How did this sort of formulate for you?
Well, it's funny. The Whiskey is a legendary venue, and Mikey, the owner, when I told him we wanted to do it there, we were moving locations. He said to me, he goes, residencies don't work at the Whiskey. They never have. It just doesn't work. But I'll give you 2 weeks. Look at all the years we've been there now.
7 years, I think.
18 months. We had to take 18 months off.
Well, right.
For the
of course.
COVID. We are back, and it's going stronger than. It's huge. It was, like you said, the Ukraine show. You couldn't fit any more people in there, and we just did a show, Big Four. It was like a metal night kind of thing. And our next show coming up on the 24th is, which we're going to do it in many parts, because how many acts can you name that are great from Britain? So it's.
I've got a couple. I have a short list.
That's right. British rock. But actually, it started because in this town, DJs were starting to really take over, and there wasn't really a place for musicians to all gather, and there was this little club that was kind of doing a jam thing, and then I took it over and did it differently and blew it up, and I wanted a lot more musicians involved, and really took the effort to contact them and organize it more. And then that place closed, and so people kept asking me, "Hey, when are you going to do that jam thing again?" It was so awesome. So I found another location that was willing to give it a shot, and we crushed it there. And then we outgrew it, and we moved to the Whiskey, and we've been there ever since. And we have had like Robin Zander, Dee Snider, the Motorhead guys, on and on and on, the list of A-list guys that have come to do the show, because it's a pro-run show. It's not a jam is really a misnomer.
Right.
in that it's not like, hey, do you want to play? It's like, you know what song, you know when you're on, you know who you're playing with, you know the arrangement that it's going to be. You even know, I send videos of this is the ending, or I put them in touch with each other so they can they'll figure out what they're going to do for an ending, or the tunings, because some songs are E flat, some songs are whatever. So it's all, and I have a great crew that work with us, and a stage manager, my partner that helps with everything as well. And I have a media person that helps me out. And I do a lot of the graphic design work for it as well when I have time. So yeah, it's been an ongoing positive thing for the community. It's all about the music community. It's a free show, you know.
I mean,
I'm not going to charge money and have all these guys play for free. And it's just, you know, it's about a social gathering and keeping the music scene alive. And we change it up too. It's not just a hard rock night or every week. We just did a diversity night where we're all over the map stylistically. You know,
I love that, and I hope to see it again. I'm coming into town for the Motley Crue Def Leppard stadium tour, so hoping to
if it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been 2.5 years. I've had been waiting on that one. I mean, that's just the crazy thing about it, and I guess we just have to hope and pray these days that we're off and running to back to normal, whatever that is. But the whiskey, I mean, that's what
it's
is
a new normal. It's a new normal.
It's a new. There it is. There's that.
I honestly think that we need to, and I don't want to get into the whole COVID thing, but being in Japan many times, their society, they wear masks. Mm-hmm. Like when they're in public transportation or whatever, if they're sick, they protect the people around them. And I wish we could adopt that. You know, you see people sneezing and coughing around you and they know they're sick, but you know, they don't care if they get anybody else. I just wish we cared more. I hope that's going to be a new normal where, hey, listen, I feel like I'm sick, so I'm not going to try to get my friend sick too.
That would be one small modicum of success there that might come. I just think it's important to keep the Sunset Strip, because growing up, I idolized, because I mean, Chuck, I'm from Missouri. I'm born in Clinton, Missouri, a town of 8,000 people. I grew up watching music videos. I grew up watching films and things that take place in LA and Hollywood. And I glamorized it to the point of almost an obsession. And when I started to get older and learn about the Sunset Strip and, you know, the Quiet Riots, when that whole scene started coming off the heels of the Van Halens in the 70s and back into the 60s, when people hung out at the Rainbow, I mean, to be able to still come back there and have the connections to that time period, I think is so important. And to also bring it into the present, I think it's very important, because that place is sacred ground to me. And I think
it is,
that it should be kept alive. And you guys are doing a great
landmark
job.
Now, that building will always be there. And
right.
I think it'll continue on. It does really well. You know, I mean, I've been going there since I was a kid. I saw Black Sabbath's first concert in LA at the Whiskey. I saw Yes's first concert for $5 at the Whiskey when I was like 15, you know. So so many great bands have come through there, and it's got such a legacy and history. And I'm really happy that my event is there.
Well, absolutely. And what can we look into as far as 2022? You get this album out, it comes out next week. And again, I want to make sure people kind of know where to go to find it. You can go to your website right now, which is chuckwright.com, where you can grab it right now. Yes. And
you can go, and Cleopatra has
Cleopatra
release. It's in the new releases, and you can get it there. It's going to be on all the platforms, but if you want hard product, it's like Amazon has it. And I actually booked Barnes and Noble. I found out had it, but you can get it pretty much all, you know, the normal places that you're going to go. It'll be there.
What is that? Or I mean, obviously you have Ultimate Jam Nights. I actually see that. Yeah, I see it on the list now. May 24th, Ultimate Jam Night, Britain Rocks, which will be a short set, 4 or 5 songs, and that'll be it, because there's just not much material there.
Not much material.
What about for you guys? I mean, you got so many musicians on this, but a lot of them are right there. Our guy Mitch Perry lives down the street. So
well, he lives in Redondo. Yeah.
Okay. He's a little bit down.
That's not that bad.
So live performances, unveiling these songs in a live setting, how would you go about it? Do you plan on doing it? What do you got planned for that?
That is a question that's come up. And honestly, to pull off the vision for this album the way I would like to do it, I think I would need Roger Waters' budget because the amount of musicians
Right.
and the diversity in the music, and what I would see as a visual presentation for the music, it would be pretty elaborate. I could, though, see taking a few songs off of this, like Throwing Stones, for instance, Army
Yep.
Bee, that aren't as, they're elaborate in their own way, but there's a style to them without acoustic guitars and and strings and all that. And combining that with other songs that I've written, projects that I've done, other albums I've done, and maybe do something that way. I don't know that I could pull this off, this album. I think once people, and I hope they get into it and they see the depth that and the diversity of the music, that they'll really enjoy it. I'm proud to say that it's not a what comes out a lot nowadays is what I call cookie cutter kind of rock albums, where it's like pretty much it could be, you put this guy with this guy and then this guy with that guy, but it's the same record basically that's coming out, you know.
Well, this is so much, and it you know, it opens people up to people that just maybe know you from Quiet Riot as such a diverse player that you are, and the influences, the range of influences, and that's what I love to see out of musicians. People that are one dimensional, there's more interest in people that have a lineage and that you see that their influence is coming out. And I know that you're more of a progressive guy at times. In fact, Genesis just played their last show. I don't know if you're a Genesis fan, but they're one of my favorite bands.
Concert here at the Roxy with Peter Gabriel. I've been a fan that long.
Peter Gabriel was at the final show, but he didn't.
Oh, I know.
I wish he would have performed, at least been on stage with the guys, because they should have done that. He should have gone up there and done Watcher of the Skies or something with them, it's a tough one. The last domino for Genesis, and it's just like, for me, I'm 38 years old, so my history is, I was born a year after Mental Health came out, so that's kind of my time span. So I've been I've had to learn my ropes as the years go by, I feel like I've done that enough to get by in the rock world, right? But man, to have seen these bands, as they're coming up, the opportunities you had and the first Black Sabbath, what was that, 69? What year was that?
I don't remember the year, but I remember that they put Ozzy up on a ramp off to the stage because they were so loud.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
And that basically, as far as my musical education goes, it was watching great bands. I learned so much from just watching greatness, because I was very blessed to grow up in an era where bands like that, Yes or whatever, would come through town. And I saw like Queen's first concerts here. They did 2 back-to-back. David Bowie, all these great artists would come through here. When I was, when you're younger, you're just absorbing it all. And I always,
of course.
Stuff. Well, and I did, as you mentioned, I did get into, other styles. I don't even know if you know, but I was in a flamenco group for 2 years. I co-produced 2 reggae records. I've done ambient trance. I played with Sendog from Cypress Hill, doing a rock rap kind of thing.
It's amazing.
So, it's like kind of all over,
Have you ever played with Steve Stevens at all?
No, but we're friends on Facebook and we communicate now and then. I'd love to play with him, because his post, he talks about like King Crimson, or he'll talk about some flamenco thing, and I go, man, this guy speaks my language totally.
That's the first thing I thought of, because he has an album out called Flamenco A Go-Go. It's tremendous. Check it out. And like that, just the thought of that as a
session with him. One session for Matt Sorum was doing a project, and he had me in to play bass, and Steve was the guitar player. That's one and only time we've worked together. It was a good experience.
The paths in this industry, tend to cross, which is awesome. But Chuck, I tell you what, I cannot thank you enough. The album again is Chuck Wright Sheltering Sky. It is out on May 20th via Cleopatra Records. The website, chuckwright.com. You can get it, and all the dates for Ultimate Jam Night and anything else is on there. Chuck, cannot thank you enough, my friend. It's a pleasure to have had you on for the first time. Let's not make it the last, my friend. Continued success, and thank you again, sir.
I will continue on the road to rock.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir.
All right. Good talking to you.
You too.